Gor himself, saying that the negotiations are getting closer to finalizing the deal, while acknowledging that discussions remain complex, covering thousands of items across both economies. Expressing optimism, Sergio Gor says that he hopes that the agreement can be wrapped up sooner than later, signaling fresh momentum in the bilateral trade ties. Let's, in the meantime, listen into what he has said.
Your meeting at the Oval with President Trump, you are one of the most trusted voices that President Trump depends on. What were the conversations about India and the region?
Look, the conversation was about everything. Obviously, the president is a dear friend of mine. I've been with the president for 10 years. So I would say a good part of it was just two friends catching up. I think he's doing an incredible job here. But also I did update him on my travels across India. He loved seeing what I have seen. And as I have traveled across the country, I've seen just incredible things, and sharing that with the president, also sharing with him the business relationship, which is growing. And on both sides, every single week, you see businesses coming here and you see businesses going there. And that's a win-win situation. That's something we aim to work at every single week in the embassy.
When you were in Delhi, you had Ambassador Gor there and Piyush Goyal meet. What did you tell the president about, why is this not on the finish line? And that 2% that we all are waiting for, when would that happen?
Well, we actually called Ambassador Gor on the phone. So he joined us in the meeting by phone, and he gave the update himself. Ambassador Gor has the president's full confidence. And so we're getting close to finalizing that. But as you know, these things are complex legal things, right? This is not a one page. We have thousands of items between our two nations that we're working on. And so the fact that we've gone so far, that's a great sign for the relationship. And I do mean, and I'm sincerely hopeful that we will be able to wrap this up sooner than later.
Well, Mayank is joining us live right now, and so is Ambassador Fabian. Ambassador Fabian, sir, good morning. It's been approximately 17 to 18 months that is now taken as far as when it comes to India and the U.S. to reach upon the final agreement of the trade deal, sir. How are you viewing this development?
If what the ambassador has said is true, then we are certainly relieved because he had been saying this earlier also. But on the whole, we may take it that great progress in terms of distance covered has been made, but it will be nice to hear from our own minister so that we can be reassured.
Absolutely. So we'll see what exactly comes in from India's side on this development. Thank you very much, Ambassador Fabian. Let's connect with you, Mayank, on this, because he appears to be quite bullish. I mean, speaking about the bilateral relationship and citing that mainly it is the personal equation between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi that seems to be driving the trade ties.
Yeah, I mean, there are, as already brought out, there are thousands of items which is being shared between the two large economies. And in this case, I mean, we have to see, wait and watch, because lots of sectors, they were part of the major discussions and they had been said to be sensitive for India at least. And agriculture can be specifically quoted in this regard.
Apologies, just interrupting you, Mayank. We have Mr. Ajay Dua also joining us here on the broadcast. Dua, sir, good morning. How are you looking at these developments between India and U.S. trade ties, sir? It seems that we are closing when it comes to finalizing the trade agreement.
I do. I sincerely hope so, that it's happening. I think if we are basing ourselves on Mr. Sergio Gor's optimism, let's go by it. He should know what's happening on the U.S. side. But at the same time, I would remain a little more conservative as well, because we have come fairly close to such kind of pronouncements even in the past. And I say this from the point of view that very recently, it was only a couple of days ago, when the Commerce Minister of India was a little more sanguine about it, and he did not. He said he was not so optimist, and he had said that unless our issues, that means our concerns, are met, we are not in a hurry to sign the agreement.
All right, so yes, because the U.S. Trade Representative was also here in India, and multiple meetings that also happened with the Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal. However, sir, what do you believe that could have been, the possible deadline? Because that is something which has not been announced yet, by which the trade deals would be finalized, sir.
Yeah, the deadline to me seems to be the 24th of July, when the President Trump's actions of increasing the tariff, the time limit for it expires. As we all know, that the action which has been taken by President Trump of imposing the 15% duty also has a time limit attached to it, that is 15 months. And those get over on the 24th of July. So U.S. would probably like to have an agreement by that date, and I think so do we. But we have let it be known through the Commerce Minister as well as our delegation that, look, we are happy if the agreement is on a few items where which respect one another's so-called, red lines, and that we can wait for the second tranche till such time as these matters.
Yes, sir, because I believe India has already made it clear, sir, that, when it comes to signing the deal, that will only happen after it secures a quite competitive advantage over when it comes to the trading rivals as well. Mr. Dua, appreciate you joining us here on the broadcast. But as far as the final stages are concerned, we'll see exactly when we reach that final terms and agreements between the two sides. However, there seems to be a positive development that is coming out of it, as pointed out by Ambassador Sergio Gor himself. But let's now go back and talk about the diplomatic spotlight that seems to be back on US-Iran equation. President Trump, however, says that Iran has requested for fresh talks in Doha, which has been immediately refuted from the Iranian soil. But there are, delegates, the American delegates comprising of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are set to join this high-level engagement. And as per the White House, that seems to be pushing for renewed diplomacy. Doha now seems to be emerging once again as a key venue for efforts to ease tensions, as the ceasefire that was agreed upon by the two sides clearly has seen multiple violations.